Hey there, happy Saturday, and welcome to True Real Estate 911. It's Brian Mudd from The Morning Rush, along with your local real estate experts, Lisa and Steve Treu. And today we're going to be talking about what's hot with Palm Beach County real estate, because the bottom line is we've been talking about how real estate in Palm Beach County has bottomed, and we've been seeing improvement. This summer, we could be set up for perhaps the best one in 7 years. We'll talk about that, and the Treus will share their expertise on the trends right here in Palm Beach County. First, I want to remind you that you're always welcome to reach out to the Treus, but 24/7, their website provides the best information on Palm Beach County real estate available. Even if you're into Zillow, even if you're into checking out Realtor.com and all those sites, that's fine. But let me tell you, you're going to find the most comprehensive resource for local information, and this is not hype. This is reality. At the Treus website, TrueRealEstate911.com. That's TrueRealEstate911.com. Because not only will you have the surface level stuff you might get at a Realtor.com, but you're going to have every single listing available to you. All the distressed properties, all the foreclosed properties, everything that's listed at every level on the Treus website. You get to search like a real estate agent for free. Right there on the homepage, you'll see the ability to search like a real estate agent. You'll also see a tool that the Treus have that I had never seen before. It's a free resource, their short or stay calculator. This is a resource to help you understand where you are in your short sale candidacy, your overall distressed property situation, and a good starting point to be able to understand what your options may be that you'll then talk to the Treus about. And speaking of talking to the Treus, you may reach out to them 7 days a week, 561-972-8326. Feel free to give them a call, 972-8326. And, of course, on the site, you'll see that Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity, and Dave Ramsey trust the Treus. As do Ashley and I. I mean, the Treus, they've done everything for us in real estate, buying, selling. They even helped us out in a rental. Whatever the case, the Treus since 1989, the track record, it speaks for itself. And Lisa, I think we're getting ready to see something that we haven't seen in some time in Palm Beach County. I think this is going to be a really active summer season. And I know you wanted to share some of the trends on today's show that you see taking place right here in Palm Beach County.
Absolutely. Florida real estate is hot. It's hot locally. It's hot with our Northeast as well as international buyers. And our sellers that are on the market are seeing multiple offers in many cases. And multiple is not two. It's 8, 10, 12 in the
Wow.
in certain price points. It's crazy.
Okay, so as we're hearing about that type of activity, what's driving it?
Well, I think what's driving it is what we have been saying for months is lack of inventory. The foreclosure listings are down, and it's forcing people to the short sales, and it's forcing people to the equity sellers, and it's just a supply and demand issue that's going on right now.
Steve, earlier in the week, we had information come out that ended up shedding some light on some of the activity in May that we had been forecasting, which was the banks were going to begin looking at distressed property a different way. I know some people over the years had been able to get a little bit complacent when falling behind on payments. In some cases, you might not make a payment, and a year might go by before somebody's knocking on your door talking to you about it or serving you papers to start a foreclosure process. And we know that the foreclosure process could play out over years. That trend is beginning to change. Tell us a little bit about some of what you're seeing.
Well, I think the banks are getting a little bit more aggressive and getting their act together. They're not waiting around like we saw in many cases where it might be 6, 9, 12 months before you might find out that you're being served with papers for foreclosure. In years past, before all this started, if you were going to foreclosure, it was generally missed, 2 or 3 payments, and you were getting the knock on the door that here's your papers, and then the process took somewhere between 10 and 12 months from start to finish, and it was over. Typically, these days, we're looking at 2 years start to finish, and it's way too long for the banks, and they're starting to get a little more aggressive. So I think they're trying to get it back to the norm, and it'll take time to get through that process and get it there, but that's the trend that they're pushing towards.
Lisa, the other piece of that, too, is the banks look to move forward and beyond the housing crisis and getting through the distressed property era that we've been languishing in. They are also moving more aggressively on short sales. Tell us how that's impacting Palm Beach County real estate?
Well, the good news is they really do not want to foreclose. If you are with an experienced short sale agent and they know who the players are in the game pretty much, and you're taking the right steps and you bring an offer, 9 times out of 10 they're going to approve it. They want to get these done. The reason most people hear and know is that the agent doesn't understand market values and valuations or how to pull the package together, so they have no choice but to deny it.
Recently, and actually he shared his story, I've been encouraging a lot of people around me that I think are well-positioned to go ahead and be able to buy property. Some of the folks we work with around here, one of them, Tim Allen from our sister station, Cool 105.5, he ended up sharing his experience that he was really surprised he was eligible to be able to purchase a property. He was in that camp that struggled through some financial issues a few years ago and really figured that he was going to be locked out of participating in today's real estate market, Steve. And as we've had information on the show, that if you are better positioned today, if you're earning income, if you show that you're going to be able to make a mortgage payment and you've otherwise taken care of your affairs and gotten back on track, that in many cases there are lenders that are willing to lend to you as well.
Oh, yeah, most often if you've got a job with some history, even if you have some credit blips, many times they can work through those. And you can get financing, and I think it's always good to investigate. And if there's some things that may be preventing you from proceeding, we can have those conversations with the lender, and they can kind of advise you on what needs to be adjusted or cleaned up. So maybe a few months down the road, you've got those issues resolved and you're in a buying position. And
part of the reason I think that's so important, Lisa, is that as you share with us that you have many properties that are having multiple offers here, that's going to end up leading to something else occurring, and that's going to be appreciation off of the lows. Now, we had already seen that throughout Palm Beach County, we'd had year-over-year bouncing of about 8% take place. So already, many properties will cost more today than they would have 12 months ago. But we could see a return to normalization, which, as you showed us, could end up meaning much bigger price increases given the level of demand over the next year.
I think it has already started for sure. I mean, we're seeing prices. It's interesting. Most of my listings right now are seeing offers. Anything under, I would say, $275 is seeing offers pretty much over list price right now. It's a fascinating thing to see and to watch. And you know, the good news is if you're a buyer and you're saying, oh, I missed my opportunity, what I will share with you is that interest rates are better today than they were a year ago. So it's still a great time to buy. It's still from an affordability probably about even where we were a year ago, even though prices are higher. What you don't want to do is keep waiting and have interest rates bump up and prices continue to bump up. And I really think this is still that opportunity. And that's why, and people understand that.
And Steve, share with us the approximate percentage of deals that are getting done with cash in Palm Beach County.
69%, Brian.
All right. So as we're taking a look at more than 2/3 of Palm Beach County real estate coming in with cash, here's the other thing we know. Because when you hear, wow, there are all these offers again, that almost is like a flashback to the housing boom, and we know that wasn't healthy. The difference this time around, if more than 2/3 of these properties are being purchased with cash, you know a cash deal is not going to be defaulting. In other words, this is based on reality. What happened in 2004 or 5 was not based on reality. We know that. But that's what makes these increases that you're seeing with these multiple offers something that's sustainable. So if you're afraid of getting involved because you're afraid of that happening again, we're simply not seeing a situation that's setting up at all like the last one. In fact, it's the absolute inverse.
Well, of course, cash, like you said, takes away all those issues that have haunted us from the past. The banks have even tightened up their situation. Even though money is flowing and you can get loans, they're not just throwing loans on the table like they used to. If you were breathing, you would get a loan practically before, there's criteria and things that have to be checked off on the list in order to actually get financing. So it's not as loose and cavalier as what created the whole problem, even from a financing standpoint.
You are listening to True Real Estate 911. The website, TrueRealEstate911.com. That's TrueRealEstate911.com. The phone number to reach out to the Treus right now, even if you wish, 561-972-8326. That's 972-8326. Lisa, as you've shared with us, these offers that are coming in quantity in many cases, and oftentimes at or above list, what strategies would you share with us to help us ensure that our offer has a good chance of being accepted?
Well, it's interesting because we start this explanation of what the market looks like at our consultation. So we look at what type of product you're looking at buying. Is it a foreclosure? Is it a short sale or an equity sale? And also the price point. And that will tell us a lot of what we can expect at offer time. The other issue is everything has to be strategically perfect. So reputation does matter. And when they see an offer from us, they know we've done all the steps up front to ensure that the buyer is going to have almost a 100% success rate of getting to the closing table. So having an agent on the Treu Group working with you does give you that competitive edge. Okay,
so ultimately, if you have a bank or even a seller that is sitting there studying like offers, and they know that you have credibility with your offer and they're unsure, not familiar with another one, all things equal, in most cases, your client is going to get that deal accepted.
Absolutely. And also, and sometimes, it's hard because, we, like if it's a foreclosure, with foreclosures, list price is really minimum bid. So we educate our client about that up front, so that when they're preparing and looking at homes, they understand if it's a foreclosure, there's probably not a whole lot of wiggle room in there. And we give great advice of how to put a clean offer together the first time, so that when they look at it, they say, wow, that looks like a great deal.
Okay, Steve. So Lisa raises a difference there with foreclosed properties that one might be buying versus either equity deal or even perhaps a short sale. What are some of the differences for us to consider when we are taking a look at making a purchase between equity, short sale, and foreclosed properties?
Well, a foreclosed property, obviously the bank owns it, and so they have a package of paperwork above and beyond a normal contract that you'll end up seeing at some point prior to it being executed, that is heavily slanted towards the bank. They take no liability, and so you really need to do your homework and understand what you're buying. You do inspections prior to executing the deal, and a little bit of a overwhelming process when you look at the paperwork, and you just kind of have to close your eyes and keep moving. You can get some great properties. There's a lot of competition, but in some cases, they have such a volume that we've seen in a few cases they haven't cleared title properly. And so people that have gone through the process, we highly advise to get an attorney to review their title policy and make sure that everything is covered to protect themselves in that regard.
Lisa, I recall as we're talking about differences between these types of properties and even understanding how to put together a solid offer if there is going to be competition on a particular property. When you were helping Ashley and I look for a property, we ultimately ended up not purchasing a foreclosed property, but when we were taking a look at some distressed ones, I recall that you, even through your expertise, were able to do some research for the type of property we were looking for, and that put you in a position to be able to anticipate when properties were going to come into the marketplace so that you could help facilitate an order perhaps at the earliest available opportunity before others had put in other types of offers.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that in any business or any industry, what you know is very important, and yet who you know is also very important. And Steve and I, over the years, have worked very hard to maintain and develop relationships and connections. So when there's something new, we know about it first. And that is just another example. We can anticipate when things are coming. We have great relationships with REO agents, so that we're not just sitting around waiting for everybody else to know. And sometimes we'll know which deals we should just take a pass on, because there are REO deals that bank-owned properties that we should not be looking at. So we have those connections, we have the expertise, and it's never about one deal for us. So if we really think that it's not the right property, we'll give you that advice, and then it's your decision.
You are listening to True Real Estate 911. We're talking about trends in Palm Beach County real estate and what's going on for this summer in our local real estate market. Here's a word from Sean Hannity.
Hey, it's your friend Sean Hannity here. What does it take to sell your home fast and for the most money in Palm Beach County? Steve and Lisa Treu with the Treu Group with Keller Williams. They have a system for attracting buyers that's so effective they can guarantee to sell your home at a price and a deadline that you agree to, or Steve and Lisa will have it bought for cash. How can they do this? Simple. The average realtor in Palm Beach County sells less than 10 homes a year and attracts a handful of buyers a month. Steve and Lisa spend thousands of dollars and attract hundreds of buyers every month, which creates demand for their homes and helps them sell within weeks, not months, and for top dollar. You risk nothing, since at any point if you're not happy, Steve and Lisa let you fire them and pay nothing. Call Steve and Lisa Treu, 972-8326 today. Now that's 972-8326. Or get a free home evaluation at TrueRealEstate911.com.
Welcome back to True Real Estate 911. It's Brian Mudd from The Morning Rush, along with your local real estate experts, Lisa and Steve Treu, and we're talking about trends in Palm Beach County real estate. The first thing is this summer is shaping up to be perhaps the most active in about 7 years. And the difference is these days, well, we have record affordability on our hands, but also as we are seeing more activity in Palm Beach County real estate, it's something that is built on equity in a lot of cases, as most of the deals that are getting done are cash deals. And we're also seeing the banks react differently to distressed properties than they have in many years as well. And Lisa, I know that you wanted to share with us some information you've talked about recently. We've got some deadlines coming up if we're going to consider real estate right now. Some deadlines that pertain to short sales and some relief at the federal level.
Absolutely. We are really working to get the word out that we have until the end of this year in order to have the tax forgiveness of a short sale in our primary home unless it is extended. And that does not mean that you start a short sale by then. That means that we have it started, sold, and closed. And depending on your lender, negotiations on a short sale can take 2 months, which is very fast, but the average is 4 months, and some run 6 to 8. So if you have a home that you know you're going to be short selling, you need to call us literally this week. Let's meet and let's see how we can help you avoid the tax consequences of doing a short sale next year.
Okay, and I'll try not to be too complicated with the financial explanation of this, but for the ease of conversation, let's say that you are forgiven by the mortgage company $100,000, and they agree to short sale your property, and you do. Without this extension going into place, which, I mean, good luck with this Congress and the current situation in Washington with the president of this happening. You can't count on this. Even if they went along with that on $100,000, you would still end up having tax liability for the $100,000. So whatever your tax rate is, let's say that it's 28%, because for the average one of us earning income, the tax rate is 28%. Well, now you have tax liability of $28,000. So it was cool that the mortgage company forgave you that $100,000, but the federal government, without this extension, and if this deadline is not extended, Steve, now you in that scenario would have a $28,000 federal tax liability on your hands that you'd later have to account for. And this is something that most people just don't understand.
Yeah, it's a huge implication. And, as your primary residence currently, you don't have that to consider. But after the first of the year, like we said, if it doesn't get renewed, that's a big chunk of change that people are going to have to deal with. And that's just on $100,000 number.
Right.
You know, many people that we're seeing, you know, they have several $100,000 that they're having forgiven, and so multiply the numbers.
Sure. And again, this is not a negotiation with the bank. If you end up having this tax liability, this is the IRS. So, you know, there is no place to hide or other negotiation that takes place unless you're negotiating with an IRS agent to try to figure out what your payment options are going to be on that. So that's why it's so important, as Lisa talks about this, that if you are in a short sale potential situation, you go ahead and you raise your hand and you let the Treus take a look at your situation and see if they can help you. And Lisa, as you point out so many times, your success rate over 90%. In most cases, if we are a candidate, you're going to be able to see us through to a successful conclusion.
Absolutely. And we're seeing right now the banks working very well with us. We're seeing almost all of our short sales that have been approved in May and June have had full release of deficiencies. Most of them have had some sort of moving financial contribution to the seller. It has just been really, I mean, some short sales that maybe a year ago they wouldn't have approved because the people made too much. But we were able to create you know, the image of why it was a hardship, which was all based on reality, and the banks wanted to get the debt off and move forward. So it is the time to call us, and you know, if you pick up the phone and call us in October, November, we'll still try to help. The chances of us hitting that deadline are going to diminish as the year goes on. So call us today, so we absolutely have the time to help you.
And it makes sense as well, because this is obviously an active season where you have a lot of families that are looking to relocate, and the sooner you can get your property listed, the better chance you have in getting in front of so many of these people that are looking at Palm Beach County real estate right now. Not that, you know, come this fall, you know, that the market's going to fall apart, but obviously you're going to maximize your opportunity to wrap this situation up right now. Steve, you had referenced earlier in the show that a lot of these banks are looking to get back to the process the way it once was with foreclosures, which meant start to finish 12 months or less, as we've been staring at 2 years or longer over the past many years. What would you advise someone of if we are heading towards the path of foreclosure? And Lisa says that banks are not only approving short sales, they're approving short sales they wouldn't have approved even several months ago. So what are those considerations if we have just kind of turned our back on it and decided we're going to walk away?
Well, you need to be proactive with your situation and pick up the phone and call us. And don't wait a couple weeks or a couple months. Call us now. Because the more time we have on your behalf, the easier and the better result you'll end up seeing. And it's really critical in this stage as things are starting to change in this short sale environment with the banks and how they're viewing things. They're being more aggressive processing them, but they're also being more aggressive on the flip side with processing the foreclosure as well. And both move at the same time. They foreclose on you. The foreclosure department is proceeding down the hallway of foreclosure trying to get to the judge as quick as they can. And if we have a foreclosure or a short sale in the process at the same time, the goal is to beat the foreclosure. But if you don't, the result could be detrimental to you.
And to put some specific numbers to what you're talking about, Steve, earlier in the week, we found out from Realty Track that no more additional people on a percentage basis were falling behind on their payments on their home. Yet year over year, for the first time in 27 months, so for the first time in more than 2 years, we saw a year over year increase in May in the number of new foreclosure filings. So without an additional percentage of people falling behind, they just got that much more aggressive to elicit a double-digit increase in the initiation of that process.
Right, and it just reinforces the fact that the environment's changing when we're talking about short sales and foreclosures.
Yeah, Lisa, as they speed up this process, we know that it wasn't just with the banks, and the impetus behind this is putting behind the sense of old as the big banks reached the mortgage settlement with the federal government, that big $25 billion thing we heard about in March. It seems like April was a transition time for them, and then May was the time they really started enacting their new policies of moving aggressively, moving forward. This is why, if you sat back and kind of took it as it came in years gone by, and maybe you could have several months to think it through and everything, well, you might not have that. You might be in the foreclosure process by the time you've thought about what you want to do, and at that point, your options become more limited as they're moving quickly.
Absolutely. I mean, we've been saying this ever since the settlement was reached, that was the consequence of this, and no one was talking about it until it happened. And the other thing is that we have to consider with all of this is that their position on moving sale dates has really changed. Before, if they gave you a sale date, we could almost 100% guarantee you that if you showed up in front of the judge, that the bank and the judge would move that sale date and give you more time. There's no guarantee anymore. It may happen and it may not. So you can't trust that what your neighbor was able to do, you also can do. You have to take very decisive action and not bury your head in the sand, because the environment has changed.
Well, excellent information on today's show, and I know you always do like to end by sharing a few opportunities that represent a great value with us, and you have them ready for us?
I absolutely do. The first is an ocean access home in Delray Beach in a wonderful community. Bring your boat. You're going to love this lifestyle. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home on the market for $875,000. The second is on over an acre in a wonderful community in Lake Worth. It's in Sherbrooke Estates. This is a 5-bedroom, 5,000 square foot home. This is a steal at $750,000. And the third is in Royal Palm Yacht Club in Boca Raton. This is a 5-bedroom, 4-bath, 4,000 square feet. Very exquisite community. $1,295,000.
I'll take it for $1,000.
Yeah, I'll take it. I know, I'm in.
All right. The website is TreuRealEstate911.com. That's TreuRealEstate911.com. Phone number to reach out to the Treus if you have any questions. They're there to help. Don't think that you have to be ready to list today or buy today. They're always looking to be able to give you the information you need, consider, and make decisions in today's real estate market. 561-972-8326. That's 972-8326. I'm Brian Mudd for Lisa and Steve Treu. We'll see you next week.
Do you need to sell your home? Hello, Palm Beach County. It's Glenn Beck, and I feel your pain. I sold my home in Connecticut, and it only took me a year and a half. You have a top real estate team that can guarantee to sell your home at a price and a deadline that you agree to, or they're going to buy it. I'm talking about Steve and Lisa Treu of Keller Williams and the host of Treu Real Estate 911 every Saturday morning at 8:30 right here on WJNO. Now, I've met Steve and Lisa. They have a marketing plan that is just in a whole different league than the average agent. They spend thousands of dollars every month to attract hundreds of buyers, which means selling several homes every week, fast, and for the most money. Plus, if you're not happy with Steve and Lisa, they're going to let you out of the contract. So call Steve and Lisa Treu today at 972-8326. That's 972-8326. Or check out their website, TreuRealEstate911.com. That's TreuRealEstate911.com.